This upcoming Shabbat, we're going to read the Parashat Har Bechukotai. Second one is a portion dealing with laws, punishment, rewards. The Holy Rashi said, Im bechukotai telechu, if you follow my path, meaning shetiyu amelim batorah, that you put your effort, your time, that you have even a short time, even those days that you are very busy in order to study Torah. Not long, one of the greatest rabbis in Israel passed away, Rabbi Shmuel Vosner. I have the privilege to have Askama, the letter of approval for my first book many years ago. The story goes, when he was a yeshiva boy, young man, he went to Meir Shapira, city of Lublin, the great rabbi that invented the Daf Yomi, page a day of study Talmud. But since he was a young man, the rabbi said to him, "You are too young to be accepted here." So the young boy went back to the train station in Vienna, but he noticed that the train have about 3 hours. So he figured out, what should I do now? I have 3 hours. So he went back to the yeshiva, and while he was back, Meir Shapira saw him at the entrance of Beit HaMidrash. So he said to him, "What are you doing here?" So he told him the truth. He said, "Look, I went back to the train station. There's 3 hours. So I figured out in between, I'll not waste my time. I sit and study." So when Meir Shapira heard that, he said, "You are accepted. If you are using every single moment to study, then as much as you're a young man, you have a potential." What makes him so great is the idea that one of the things he used every single moment of his life to study. Sometimes, as much as we have a busy life, if we really use those moments in between, moments that sometimes waste in vanity, to study Torah, person reach the highest. We are on page 98. We're going to talk today about first the subject of widows and their circumstances, especially a widow that dealing with collection part of their marriage contract. We're also going to deal with law of broker, meaning when you're dealing with broker in all kind of different fields, how much the broker allowed to do for himself. For example, if you give a broker an estate, and you said to the broker that this is the estate I would like to sell, and this is the amount I can go down, and you give the whole details, and the broker goes ahead with knowing all the details and buying it for himself, or even play around with customers and eventually buying it for himself. Is that okay or not? Page 98. During the life of the husband, most probably close to the end of his life, she collected a certain a silver cup as a partial payment for her Ketubah, for a marriage contract. Now, Shulchan Aruch Ibn Ezer 93 tells us that if a woman collected even part of the Ketubah, she allowed to go ahead and collect the rest. But Katav'a Mezonei, she went to the other heir, and she wanted to collect the rest of the Ketubah. Meaning she wants to have the sustenance. Ataylek kamei de Rabbah. So they both, the widow and the orphan, came before Rabbah. אמר לו ליתמי זילו אבו לה מזונות, give her sustenance. ליתחש לעד רבי שמעון דאמר לו, אמרים לנו מקצת כסף כל הקצף. We do not go by this view of Rabbi Shimon. If she receives some, it's like she received all. So the Rosh tells us that follow this code 93, Even Haezer, that in reality they can pay it off instead of paying it all the time every month. That can be enforced in the rabbinic court. שלח לי רבה ברי דרבה לרב יוסף. מוכרת שלו בבית דין צריכה שבועה או אין צריכה שבועה? Does a widow went ahead and sell some estate from her husband without the consent of the court? Usually, we said many times, anything related to the orphan, you need to take an oath. But here, it's without the bed din in order to collect her Ketubah. So Tosfot said, and Rashi too, why they need to have here taking an oath. The idea is that maybe she already received, or she received some, or according to Rabbeinu Tam, she need to take an oath that she was not degraded the estate of the orphan, which means she didn't take more than she entitled, or she didn't treated the estate improperly. So the Rosh and the Rambam and Shulchan Aruch, the code, have a very heavy discussion. What do you do with the broker following this school of thought? A broker, for example, can be others, but for example, a real estate broker, you give a house, you give a estate, you give a building, you give an apartment, townhouse, and you stated that I want, for example, $300,000. And you said to him, you can put it at 350 or 400, but I will not go down than 300. So is the broker allowed to buy it for himself, especially since he knows all the variation, how much the seller will go down? So the Gemara said, "V'tibai elach hachraza." If that's the case, we may need a public announcement in order to properly assess the value of the property. Why? Because if you're doing that, you raise the bar. That's based on the Mishnah, Tractate Erchin, page 21b. The Gemara said not just there, but in other places, that you need a 30 days period, etc. Amar le hachaza lo kamibayli. You don't need to make a public announcement. Amar Rabbi Zera Amar Rav Nachman almana sheshama leatzma. Meaning, if you have a widow that she assessed the property for herself, what does that mean? Usually she needs to have a 3 appraisal, that the expert in this. Here, Tosfot tells us and others that she have those 3, but she follow them, and she follow that idea, and she bought it for herself instead of selling it to others. So as we said with the broker, she bought it for herself. So the Gemara said, "Lo asta velo chlum." It's nothing. If the orphan wants to collect money for a Ketubah and recollect, they can do it, Rashi said. Hey Chedami, what exactly are we speaking here? Ide achuz, amai lo asta velo chlum. If she declare over the estate that it's for sale, and then she take it for herself by the highest price. Why you say that it's nothing? אלא לאו דלא אחוז, ולעצמה הוא דלא עשתה ולא כלום. הלאחר, מה שעשתה עשתה. So if it applies to others, you mean to say that it's effective sale. You must say, לעולם דאחוז, ודאמרי לה, מן שם לך, who is the one who sell it for you? It's not the bedin, it's not the orphan. Ki hai, as the Rav Ami said in the following story, Dau gavra de afkidu gabei kista de yatme. Someone have a coral belonging to an orphan. Azal shamal lenafshei. So the guardian took it for himself as a paying off a debt that owed the father. The father owed him. Be'arba me'azuzei, that's the value at that time, 400 zuz. Iyakar, that's turned to be expensive, which means the price raised. Kam beshit me'a. Meanwhile, it's 600. So they hold, the heir hold that they owed 200 zuz different. So the Meiri asked a question. The Meiri asked, if someone deposit money in order for someone to sell or buy, and that fellow, what they do is he make himself as a buyer. He bought it for himself. Meanwhile, the price go up. What do you do? So, based on this sugya, Ata lekamei de Rabbi Ami, Amar le man sham lach. Rabbi Ami said, tell me, who is assessed for you? Because you never have an assessed, so you don't have the orphans, you don't have the rabbinic court to do it for you, so you never acquire coral. So it's remain the possession of the orphan, and the profit is there. Vehilcheta, and the final halacha is that widow can sell from the estate of the husband. Tzricha shvuah, she needs to take an oath. Ve'eina tzricha hachraza, but she doesn't need to make a public announcement. So if she sell it toward an expert Beit Din, the Shulchan Aruch Ibn Ezer 103 said she does not need to take this oath, because that's the part of the task of the Beit Din. אלמנה שהייתה כתובתה 200, that's the Mishnah, ומכרה שווה מנה ב-200. So she is selling here the estate of the heir by herself, and that's for the purpose of the Ketubah. But the Meiri explained she made a mistake in her evaluation. So in general, the regular situation when a person's married, it's 200 in case she become widow or divorce, or שווה 200 במנה. So נתקבלה כתובתה, which means it's over, because the first case she really gets what she entitled to. The second one, even she gets only 100, but the orphan said you lost it for yourself, because if you sell it by the real value you'll get 200. Second, הייתה כתובתה מנה ומכרה שווה מנה ודינר, 101, במנה with 100, מכרה בטל. אפילו היא אומרת החזיר דינר לא יורשים, מכרה בטל. That's called הונאה. הונאה meaning that it was in a sense dishonesty. The way
sold it to lessen the value of the property.
The whole transactions. Later in the Gemara explain later the wise here. רבן שמעון גמליאל אומר, לעולם מכרה קיים, עד שתהא שם, כדי שתשייר בשדה בת 9 קבים ובגינה בת חצי קו, וכדברי רבי עקיבא, בית רובע. So it means that here the value, it's based on the Mishnah in Bava Batra 11. They say that you have a value of the field and or the garden, and she basically planned to return. She returned that dinar to the heir. Now we have a concept that is called ein hona'ah bekarkaot. When it's come to estate, you can claim for appreciation of values that it's not correct value. So here you derive all this discussion among the rabbis, how far you go with hona'ah, with someone. The Torah said you should not fool each other, but here it's anyway. Hayta ketubata 400 zuz. If her ketubah contract, the marriage contract, was 400 zuz, zuz meaning dinars, umachra, and she sold from a estate of her husband to 4 different men in order to pay off the marriage contract as follows: lazeh b'maneh ve'lazeh b'maneh. The first three buyers bought it for the real market price, each one 100. ולאחרון יפה מנה ודינר במנה. But the last one, it was sold in dinar, and dinar for only 100 dinar. So they said, shel acharon batel, the sale of the last property is void. Why? Because you have she charged was below the market value. ושל כולן מכרן קיים. The rest, it's effective sale. The Gemara, next page, 99, elaborates on that. So the Ktsot HaChoshen ask a question. The moment she took it, she basically had it. And if it bring some revach, some profit to the orphan, the issue here, he asked, why you treat it that way? So he said that she intended to only to sell, not to make a kinyan, not to make a transaction between parties. So the big question here, when it's come to a brokerage, can be even a regular a movable object. Can he, if he does that, in a sense, selling and buying and eventually buying it for himself? You know, you take the order, you put it in a very low price, and then for example, either you buy it right away or you sell it to someone and then you flip it and buy it, and you make double profit margin. You know, you tell the buyer, the owner wants 300. You tell the buyer, you know, the owner wants 350 and will never go below than 350. You're back to the owner and he says, any money I give you more than 300 we'll split. But if I get to 300, I want my commission. You get him 350. Then they split. He goes to the buyer and he said, look, I can get you someone even more than the 350. You get it again from the buyer. And then basically he buying for himself because the buyer was not so sure, and he re-flip it again for 400. So the question is, if that based on this is permissible, right? The issue of מעשה קניין, קצות החושן זה. מה ישנה שווה 200 במנה, דאמרי לה את הפסדת, why in the second situation you said you lost for yourself half of the Ketubah? שווה מתנה ב-200, נמי תימה, אנא ארווחנה. Said the same way that I made it, make more. אמר רב נחמן, אמר רבא ברבוע, 98b, כאן שנה רבי, here רבי יהודה הנשיא taught, הכל לבעל המעות. Everything belonged to the owner of the money, which means that the shaliach, the emissary, cannot claim that he has the profit. Even the shaliach, the emissary, selling it or purchasing it with the money that he owned, that he had, still, since someone send it for him, so it's like he borrowed. So again, if you have Reuven sending Shimon to buy something and Shimon use his money, it's still considering it's like Shimon lent to Reuven money to buy something. That's the Choshen Mishpat, Kuf Pei Bet 183. כדתניא, הוסיפו לו אחת יתרה, הכל השליח דברי רבי יהודה. If they added for him one extra item, the entire profit belonged to the agent. That's Rabbi Yehuda's view. Rabbi Yossi Omer, so Ritva explained that Rabbi Yehuda hold that whatever they have as surplus in the merchandise, it's like a gift that the sales give to the agent in order for him to come back again. Soon you see a lot of question halachot. What do you do with accumulate points or flights if you work for a company? How you treat it? It's yours or it's not? Right? You derive from this type of question. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Cholkin, which means they split half and a half. The owner and the agent split the profit. So, Ve'atana Rabbi Yossi Omer Akol Lebaramot. Rabbi Yossi said, no, everything belongs to the one who owns the money. So, אמר רבי בר חמא לא קשיא, כאן בדבר שיש לו קצבה, כאן בדבר שאין לו קצבה. You have to differentiate between something that's already very clear fixed price, for example, kitnit, so, or things like that they have a very clear price, versus if you have other vegetables or things like that it can change daily. You go to certain market, for example, by the end of the day is a totally different price than the morning, because they try to bring a produce that is fresh. So in the morning it's more expensive. The end of the day it's different. So therefore, Rabbi Yossi said that the profit belongs to the owner. So here you have in the Mishnah that you have a widow that sold the estate of the orphan.
Bless you.
More than its value, thank you. Even it's something that it's no דבר שאין לו קצבה, which means we hold that the estate doesn't have a fixed value. So it means that according to the Mishnah, the profit doesn't belong to the widow by the orphan, because they are the owner of the money, quote unquote. That's follow Rabbi Yossi. So it's a question that posted to the late Rav Wozner and many others. Imagine if you work for a company, they sent you, it's a lot of traveling involved. They sent you, and what you do in particular was not just talking about buying and getting points, but let's say you reduce your pleasure and you're buying very prudent tickets, or you're doing all kind of things in order to accumulate points. Is that okay for you to earn these points or not, since you're employee of that company? Right? The question is, it's you, it's there, it's split, how it works.
So federal government, you got to give it back to them.
Federal government, you have to give
Absolutely.
Back.
To give it to the federal government. If you earn any like frequent flyer miles, anything like that, it goes back to the government. You don't get to keep it personally.
I see. And
if it's unofficial travel, so if you're traveling on official government travel and you earn any points or anything like that, you have to return those points to the government.
And if it's what the government does with this?
Well, then they can use it then for for purchasing additional tickets and things like that for their for government employees along the line. I mean, essentially they could use it to negotiate with the airlines. But bottom line is you can't benefit from it personally.
And how about if you work for a private corporation?
It depends on the corporation.
A lot of them let you keep it.
A lot of them let you keep it, but depends on it depends. I mean, I think the larger ones may question it, but most of them let you, in the private industry, they let you
like
keep
Johnson
it.
& Johnson, they let you keep them now. They don't.
I see. אמר רב פאפא הלכתה, דבר שיש לו קצבה חולקים, דבר שאין לו קצבה על כל לבעל המאור. So he said, you have to differentiate something that they have a fixed price to something that's not. Something that they have a fixed price, so the emissary and the owner, they have to split, otherwise it all belongs to the owner. That's follow Rabbi Yossi. Maika Mashmela, what's what Papa wants to teach us? That you have a rule that any time Rabbi Yossi disputed Rabbi Yehuda, you go by Rabbi Yossi. So Papa explains, Shinuya de Shaninan, Shinuya u. So he said that the answer that we taught is the correct answer. So he said, Ibayalu. Here is a question that involved with some emissary that changed direction from the one who sent him. For example, you send somebody to do something and he is doing something else. First, let's read the scenario, see how practical is it. אמר לי, זבן לי ליטך, ואזל וזבן לי קורה. Sell half of my estate. It's called בית חצי קור. And he sold entirely. מאי, מוסיף על דבריו הוא, וליטקה מהקנה, או דילמה מעביר על דבריו הוא, וליטקה נמי לא קנה. So, do you sell it as you take it as a one sell, and since the second one, it wasn't with the consent of the owner, so it's all void, or you go and it's treated as two separate sales. So, it's a very heavy discussion among the rabbis, the early rabbis, Rishonim, how far you go with this. Because you see a practical halachot. Here was an example. Let's talk even Achronim. A fellow, he invested in a stock, he asked a broker to buy a stock in GM. He said, here is a $5,000, invest in a GM. The fellow was doing stock business and he bought in GE. $5,000 GE instead of GM. Now, if it's a good news, they're making money, so everybody's happy. But if you lose money, so here is the question. That fellow said, look, I can show you, now it's a month later, I can show you the stocks of GM, the one you want me to buy, and the GE that I bought, and I can prove to you that either both lost the same, or GE lost less than the GM. So it means if I take you $5,000 and put it in a GM, you have now 1,000. But because I bought it in GE, now you have 2,000. So you lost so far only 3,000 and not 4,000. The other guy said, no, I sent you and I asked you to buy for me GM. You're supposed to be my shaliach, my emissary. The moment you are my shaliach, you have to do exactly the way I ask you to do. You see, people are very weird when it comes to behavior. If that stock's making 10,000, you'll never complain. But because it's lost, he said, that's not what I sent you for. So you see in the Ketuvot HaMishpat, you see also in the Rosh, they have a discussion how far you go with this. Can he have any claim? In general, no. Because what happened is he really showing the market performance. We have also to differentiate if it was intentional or not intentional. Because if it was not intentional, it's a different story. But if he intentionally did it, which means he was asked specifically to buy something, the problem with the stocks usually, it's you're making those orders over the phone. right? It's not always, you call the broker, you said sell it, buy it, right? Anyway, אמר רב יעקב מן הרב קוד משמי דרבינה תשמע. אמר בעל הבית לשלוחו, תן להם חתיכה, לאורחים, והוא אומר, תלו 2, והן תלו 3, כולם מעלו. So again, the house owner, the emissary, and the guest. Why? The owner because he did it on 1. The emissary is because it was the second piece. He added from himself. And the guest because they add the third part. היא אמרת בשלמה מוסיף על דבריו והווי, ומשום אחר בעל הבית מעל, אלא היא אמרת מעביר על דבריו ובעל הבית המים מעל. So in general, it's a question that posed to many rabbis. Imagine you working for a company or a yeshiva student, for example, right? A yeshiva student, the parents pay tuition, right? Or so he's hungry. They serve lunch, whatever, schnitzel. Hungry. So he goes and takes another one. Now it's supposed to be exactly measured for each and every one. Is that considering a gezel or not? The further question is, when it's come to this type of non-profit or charity organizations, who is the one who makes the decision? The chef, the people who are in charge for the lunch? What exactly you make decisions and how? So here you see a source. They said here, "Vatnan, השליח שעשה שליחותו, בעל הבית מעל, לא עשה שליחותו, השליח מעל." So here you have an emissary that he went and he performed the assigned they asked him to do, right? But the reality is it's a problem. The Gemara in Tractate Megillah, page 20, said that לא עשה שליחותו שליח מעל. So במה אחמה הסכם ואמר להוא, if the בעל הבית, if the owner said to him clearly, תלו אחת מדעתו של בעל הבית ואחת מדעתי. He said, take one piece with the consent of the host and one piece with my consent. ושקלו עינת תלת, and they took 3 pieces. So since every piece of meat was taken with the consent of someone else, so they all are guilty of misuse of consecrated property. Because again, the whole issue here is who is the access, who is the right. That's, by the way, famous discussion over, good morning Dr. Friedman, over charity fund. If you have a charity fund and it's not designated for specific causes, it's just community charity fund. So you have a gabbai, you have a person, or the rabbi, whoever, that's designated to be in charge. So if it is not clearly stated that it's in charge, for example, for kollel, or for a specific people's need, it's just general, therefore the one who's the gabbai or whoever is in charge have the right to distribute the way they wish to. The truth is, the Rambam said that when you have a choice, you have a $500 you can give to charity. You have 5 different people. One of them you know very well and you like well. The other 4 you never met, but you know that they're legitimate. So the question is, should you give 500 to one you very much know, or you should give 100 to every one of those organizations? So the Rambam said, Elliot, you know that Rambam? Dr. Friedman, what's the Rambam say? The Rambam said that even you have a favor organization, you split 100 with each and every one of them. Even you like one organization very much and he wants to give him the whole money, but if the others, individual organizations, are legitimate, you have to split equally among each and every one of them.
ויחם לשולוים מלאכי השולוים מלאכי